All right, what's good, boys and girls? Welcome to today's market recap. Today is January 14, 2026. I did not take a trade today, but we'll go over what I saw in the market. Honestly, price moved pretty clean today. Can't even lie. There was just no entries for the way I trade. And yeah, so let's get right into it. Starting on the daily time frame, let's start with my bias. I realized as I was marking everything out this morning that we had a whole bunch of stacked high time frame liquidity with all of these lows right here. Okay. And then from here, scale down to the 4 hour. What do? We inverse this 4 hour bullish gap, which was also BPR. We inverse that 4 hour BPR. Also inverse that 1 hour BPR. We had all these draws lower, right? So ultimately, these were my targets for my first trade. Now, I didn't mind taking longs towards data high right here at market open, and I'll explain why in a second. I did end up fading it, but they didn't look too bad to me. Also, another thing that I realized on the hourly previous to market open, we were inside of this 1 hour bearish gap. So clearly disrespecting bullish and respecting bearish gaps. So I was leaning just a little bit more bearish, but I'll explain why I didn't mind longing towards these data highs to begin with. So starting with market open, right? As we can see, market open had this crazy ass wick right here. Okay, so what did I want to see? I wanted to see price come down and take out all these lows down here, and then possibly see a rejection off of it, targeting data highs. Maybe we can get an SMT with it. We didn't end up getting an SMT. We ended up getting this nice V-shaped recovery though, after we came and swept out all these other lows. And what I was saying was you could have entered off this 1 minute and had your stop somewhere in this area targeting data. And this is what was running through my head as market was open. However, there was a 2 minute, but I knew once that 2 minute got inversed, it would have already took out the data highs. We did have this AMD model cooking up as well. Accumulation, manipulation lower, and then we could have distributed. So here's the entry point to the 2 minute. It would have been a quick break even. And ultimately it would have came up here anyways and hit your break even, whether it was at this internal high or this 2 minute, whatever the case may be. But there was this nice 1 minute. I like the V-shaped recovery coming out of the accumulation. There just wasn't enough confluences for me. There wasn't really anything to the left that we were bouncing off of. As you can see here, just a whole bunch of fucking chop. So didn't really like this. I kind of faded it, but it wasn't that bad of a setup. And then as you can see, we ended up leaving relatively equal highs with data. So at this point in time, we ended up getting a 1 minute inversion back to the downside. And I faded this because I didn't want relatively equal highs with data at or near my stop loss. So here is where the 1 minute inversion occurred. Your stop loss would be somewhere in this general area right here, probably above the fair value gap. Or if you want better RR, you can just put it at this high. And then your TP can be all these lows I just talked about down here. So go to the 15 minute, be low number 1, low number 2, right? 3, 4, and 5. You can target all those as a draw on liquidity, and ultimately I believe they ended up all getting hit. Now, like I said, it was another good V-shaped recovery, but if we would have got an SMT with data highs, as you can see, ES came and created like triple relatively equal highs right here, and I kind of wanted to see that get taken out before shorting. I really wish market manipulated higher at market open rather than manipulating lower. It would have made this short a lot more clear for me, but ultimately I just decided to fade it. Here's what the trade I did would have looked like: 1 to 262 RR if you would have held all the way down to that low. So let's see how this goes ahead and plays out. Take out the first couple, retrace a little bit, and then 10 a.m. opens and 10 a.m. delivers towards that draw on liquidity. Now at this point in time, what do we end up doing? Well, let's go back to our higher time frames. Yeah, we swept out all this higher time frame LR right here, which is perfectly fine. But what else do we have? We have these 1 hour lows right here, okay? And we have this unfilled 4 hour fair value gap right here. And that unfilled 4 hour fair value gap was also 1 hour intermediate lows. So at this point in time when 10 a.m. opened, what did we end up doing? We ended up leaving basically equal lows with those first 1 hour lows, and then we had the unfilled 4 hour fair value gap right underneath it. And then under both of those, we had, what's it called? 15 minute intermediate lows right here. Okay, so you kind of had to zoom in to see that. But there was 3 draws that were still lower, and I like this. Even though 10 a.m. did open low, I was perfectly fine with still shorting because we left a significant draw on liquidity with this. Okay, we had these again 1 hour lows right here, unfilled 4 hour, And same thing what ES did yesterday as why that second trade failed yesterday. We came down and edged this, and I know we're most likely going to want to tap this before moving higher. So if we move higher, I'm looking for a continuation now. What ends up opening up? Okay, a 15-minute fair value gap ends up opening up right here. Okay, so now I'm just waiting for a tap into this 15-minute and a rejection out of it. There was a 5-minute somewhere down here as well that ended up failing. And the reason why this 5-minute ended up failing was because it was so fucking premium. Now, the reason I figured this out, well, I've been knowing this, but the reason why I faded this was because I've been stopped out of this before. As you can see, we come up right here, we tap the 5-minute and get a 1-minute inversion out of it. And most of you guys probably took this. Okay, inversion right here, take profit somewhere in this general area, or stop loss somewhere in that general area, and your take profit will be somewhere in this general area right here. Okay, didn't look too bad. We had LR above, or below, sorry. But what was also above? We also had LR on the buy side. And on top of that, can we just take a moment and look at equilibrium of this range real quick? From market open highs to these lows. Look how premium this is. Okay, so if I'm going to take a continuation, it needs to be at or near equilibrium of that leg. This was neither. It was not at or not near it. Okay, so I just decided to fade this. If it played out cool. Then I can look for a mech model towards that 15-minute if we ended up coming down and doing something like this. And then we could have got an internal resweep, hit the 4-hour, and then a rejection. I could have went ahead and targeted the unfilled 15-minute. However, we just continued higher and higher, generating liquidity. Boom, we hit the 15-minute. When we hit the 15-minute, what gets created? A 5-minute bullish gap. So I'm playing this one of two ways. This 5-minute bullish gap just straight up just gets inversed with the next candle. Okay, something like, oh my god, something like this. I'm going ahead and I'm entering. Okay, stops somewhere like at that body opening, whatever. Now, if we come down and hit this 5-minute gap, get a resweep with a possible SMT, don't necessarily need an SMT, but with a possible SMT, okay, take out these 15-minute intermediate highs, and then we get a short from here. Our trade idea can look something like this. Stops at the highs, take profit all the way down here, and then you can utilize this intermediate low, or sorry, this intermediate low, internal low, as a break-even point, okay? So I was playing it one of two ways like that. I didn't necessarily need to see the 5-minute get inversed if we had that internal structure. And let's go ahead and see how this ends up playing out. Okay, kind of chop around, and then boom, all of a sudden we inverse it, right? Oh, I'm on the 15-minute. Well, we edge inversing it. We didn't quite, as you can see, we didn't quite inverse it. But at this point in time, I'm still okay with shorting because what ends up getting created now? Coming out of this 15-minute bearish fair value gap. Well, now we have a 5-minute bearish fair value gap. Okay, so now I'm just looking for a continuation model. I would have took this 5-minute inversion if we got it cleanly, especially with this candle right here, but we didn't end up getting it cleanly. We ended up creating a 5-minute. On the bright side too, ES did end up inversing it, so that can give us more conviction. So now what I want to see at this point in time is a tap into here and a rejection out of it. Okay, what ends up happening? More internal structure, boom, all of a sudden we get 2 down close candles. But what is our draws, right? We have these 1-hour lows, unfilled 4-hour gap, 15-minute intermediate lows, and a whole bunch of fucking low resistance liquidity right here. A whole bunch of it. This looked beautiful. And if there would have been a 30-second, I would have smacked 30-second. If there would have been a 1-minute, I would have smacked the 1-minute 10 out of 10 times. There was nothing though. There was only a 15-second. The 15-second happened right here. I guess you could have entered the 15-second. I have never entered a 15-second in my life, so I was staying out. Stops at the swing highs inside the fair value gap, and then you could target all this LR. This was a beautiful, beautiful fucking draw on liquidity. I just couldn't find an entry. I was hoping that we could start generating right here and then get one just Drake candle to the upside, and then hopefully just get a V shape, something like this. Kind of like what happened right here, but with the fair value gap, like on the 1-minute. We can get like a 1-minute version, or even the 30-second. 30-second looked like shit too. But all in all, this trade idea looked beautiful. There was just no entry. I know some of you guys entered off of this CISD. Here's the 1-minute CISD right here. So you guys entered off of probably the middle of this candle closure as it was just continuously going down. This is what your guys' trade idea probably looked like. Something around here, stops somewhere right here, and then your TP down towards this unfilled 4-hour. Let's see how this ends up playing out. Boom. ends up smacking TB. Beautiful trade, probably best trade of the day. But ultimately, no fucking entry found for me. Kind of annoying, but it is what it is. It's just how the market goes. And yeah, we don't seem to be doing anything right now. We made our move for the day, and it looks like we are kind of just chopping around now. Making our way back up. Didn't quite get an inverse, whatever. Okay, so best to just stay out the market if you missed any of these trades today, just like I did. I had these marked out, these Asia highs, London highs, true day open, just in case if we went past data and just continued higher and higher on the day. Well, ultimately, it was a bearish type of day, and I was completely fine as well, but just couldn't find an entry, right? PA was pretty good today, which is a good sign. We had red folder 3 days in a row. We have red folder tomorrow as well. On Thursday, the 15th, we have unemployment claims. So that'll be all for today. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns about the trades I took, trade you took that I maybe missed, and you have a question on it, go ahead, leave them in the comments. Free Discord and a discount code in the description as well if you want to up your allocation. Go check that out, and I will catch y'all boys in the next one.